Let's do it live on a First Friday Miracle edition of Cleveland Browns Daily. I am merely Bo. Be careful.
Let's go.
Yesterday, there was a screen grab
I know.
that made its way around that is great. Young Brock may never get a letter recommendation from you again. But then in addition to that, then the Hoff cartooned it in one way,
awesome.
which was perfect, and then in another way that you were less fond of.
Correct.
So now you got to be careful with all of this, Gibby. It's all
fine.
on the public
Whatever.
sphere. You look great. You look great.
Thank you. Thank
good.
you. Minus I'm wearing red. At least I didn't wear orange today, so it sucks into the wall, so all you see is my head. We
always have University Hospitals up there. You get a little bit of red up there.
You go.
So it all works. It all works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a fantastic job by the Hoff.
It was.
And
I
then
think he's good at everything.
Then I noticed there was a slight discrep, and
on the second one.
And I was like, "Excuse me?"
Yeah.
No. Wrong.
It was a very good job.
My wife found that very entertaining.
Yeah, I think we all
I think
did.
everybody had a nice little laugh last night. You are welcome to those on that text chain.
What is the line from an old school? I think everybody knows you had a great time last night, Frank. Vaughn hits Frank the Tank with that after that. I had a great time last night. I think everybody knows you had a great time last night. Listen, it's quiet around the league. The Baltimore Ravens are doing their mandatory minicamp, and so there's a little bit there, but not much. It's basically like, hey, we got to go. There's one other team that's doing mandatory minicamp this week, but I'm not even sure who it is.
Anything.
I know there are two that are doing it. The one I saw a little bit is Baltimore, that Baltimore's doing their mandatory minicamp. So I have seen a little bit of that. Other than that, it's quiet, and it's quiet because this is truly the only downtime in the National Football League that is available. And so you get things like, for instance, what ESPN, I don't know if you saw this, what ESPN did this morning. By the way, it is a mailbag edition of Cleveland Browns Daily, and we will get to that coming up in around the 2:30 mark of the
Maybe
program.
a little earlier because Bobby has 40 questions.
Good job. Good job out of Bobby. So this is how this happens. That's how you end up on the front page of ESPN right now, ultimate NFL team from the past 25 years. So they put together an all-time NFL team of the last 25 years, and position by position kind of where they stand. If you're curious, are we well represented? Yeah. In fact, we have the starting left tackle on that team, and that is the great Hoff, and he is on that team. I believe now.
You do have another player.
I assume it's Miles. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. There he is. So Miles is one of the edge rushers as well. So they went DeMarcus Ware, Jared Allen, Miles, and Julius Peppers are the four edges. Did we have this later in the show?
Yeah, we did.
Sorry.
But that's okay.
I didn't mean to jump on it.
No, you're fine.
So
it just came out. It was a big deal.
Yeah. So anyway, this is how this type of thing happens. There's a downtime in the league, and that's how you have like what happened on Monday. For example, Get Up was on, and they were doing like, what is Dak Prescott's legacy? Well, this is why, because there's not a whole lot going on around the league. They know that everybody wants to talk about football, so how do we do it? So all of a sudden we're 25 seasons, although 25 seasons into the year, although this will be the 2025 season obviously this fall. We played 25 seasons in the 2000s. That's how you get there. So that's how these things happen. But other than that, it's very quiet.
Lots of lists. We love lists.
You got to. That's what you do.
I was saving it for next week, but Pete Prisco has his top 100 out.
Yeah. So
I think Miles was number 2 in the entire NFL for Pete Prisco.
That's pretty good. It's got to be the highest we've ever had anybody on his list.
I would say yes.
Yeah.
Considering
never
there's
had
been
anybody
some
won.
serious omissions.
Well, he blew the Nick Chubb thing a few years ago, and then we had
Yes.
the trial of Pete Prisco, which we all remember so well.
Yeah, Pete hasn't been on since.
No, he's not.
Pete's like, Gibbs, I'm good.
I'm good. I don't think.
Come on.
I don't think I will come on and suffer the slings and arrows. And Z knew him.
Z knows him well.
Knows him well from the old CBS
like there's
days.
hugs at the combine.
Yeah,
Everything's great.
We haven't had him on in a minute.
Pete's like, we're good.
Yeah. It is a First Friday. It's going to be warm this weekend. I'm going to give you my officially endorsed right now. And honestly, you have a prop that's needed for it if you're watching on the YouTube stream. Gibbe always has his giant orange Yeti. Is that a 32 or 64?
I think it's a 32.
32?
Yeah.
Perfect. So you're going to take a big Yeti like the one, or something like that, an insulated glass like that. I will be in Montana next week, so this is your rodeo beers. This is what we call them. We call these rodeo beers.
Giddy up.
So you take a Yeti like that, you fill it. We always filled it with 2 Yellow Jackets, but you can fill it with whatever American lager of your choice would be. You pour 2 of those in there. You take a half scoop of we would just take it out of the igloo cooler that the beers are being held cool in, and you put a handful of that in. You could do a scooper if you want. You put a handful of that in, and then a heavy lime squeeze on top, and we called those rodeo beers.
So the beer followed by a scoop of ice.
The ice, and then the heavy lime on top. And that will refresh
I might do
you.
That. A little golf this week.
Oh, it'd be great for the hooligans.
Yeah.
Rodeo beers.
I like a little rodeo
plus,
beer.
here's the deal. It sounds pretty damn cool. What are you drinking? Little rodeo beers. That's going to win.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
That's a conversation starter.
That's a win. That's a win. So that'll be your officially endorsed, because it is. I mean, officially summer is here in the next couple of days, but also it appears we're finally going to be hot.
Yes, exactly. And we're off tomorrow for the Juneteenth holiday.
Yeah.
Friday we have a taped best of.
Yeah.
It's getaway day for everybody on the show. Little breather.
Yeah.
And then we've got a few more shows to get to, and then 4th of July break, and then
I don't want to think about that. It just comes. It's funny, when you're in this, you and I were talking about this the other day, when you do this, and this is an incredible profession to be able to do, but the football season just keeps getting longer and longer. There was a time when you and I first got into this where, in covering college football, you do a little bit with the first practices, but then the rest of August was still
open.
That was game.
It was media day.
For sure.
And that was it.
That was it. And then you'd ramp up that week of the first college football games heading into Labor Day weekend, and then it was all done by the first of the year. And you had another big break in December because it was always you would play up until Thanksgiving, and then you'd be off for a month, and you'd play a bowl game, and then you're done. Well, now on the college side, they have open practices because they can create revenue for selling tickets for them in late July and early August, and then they play until end of January now. And on the NFL side, you were saying our rookies report January 18th or July 18th. I'm sorry, July 18th. Somewhere in there. 18, 20, 21, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that mix. Feels early.
It sounds really early.
It's around a month, give or take. None of those dates are official, just kind of the idea of where you think it would be. And then the veterans are going to be shortly thereafter.
Usually 3 or 4 days after.
Yeah, so it's away you go. You're going to be well into this thing by you get into that first week of August, and then the season ends, and it's going to end even later. Eventually it's going to end President's Day, but right now it ends the weekend before, and that's into February.
Yeah.
It's a huge chunk of the schedule of the year.
I was just working on radio network schedules and whatnot today, and I'm like, oh, not ready. No. I need another month.
Yeah, I do too.
And you're not going to get one.
No, you're not.
No.
We had last night in the sports world, you had the Stanley Cup awarded to the Florida Panthers. They've won back-to-back cups now. It was over. You could tell it was over. For me, I watched the first period, and I'd seen enough. I knew that they were going to win.
It's the worst game of the six.
It was. But it was trending this way because of what happened in Edmonton in the previous one, and so they didn't really get it. The Florida's now won back-to-back cups. They have – it's interesting, the other sports, because we're dealing with this on the NBA side a little bit with Oklahoma City and Indiana playing for the final. It's very possible, and it's interesting because the guy who used to be the general manager of the Monsters when they won the Calder Cup is Bill Zito. He came up through the Blue Jackets organization, and then he was the GM of the Monsters when they won the Calder Cup. He's the general manager of Florida. So he's been the boss there since 2020.
Monsters' former play-by-play guy, Doug Plagens, is the play-by-play
and that's
guy.
probably why. That's probably how it all worked out.
Yep.
So anyway, so he's down there. He's been down there for 5 years. They've won back-to-back cups, and it does seem to me like what they have done down there is awakened a sleeping giant, because there are advantages that they have in roster building that it's apples and avocados to the NFL, because in the NFL, a franchise quarterback almost never gets traded or never gets to free agency. You think about the circumstances surrounding Deshaun. They never would have become a free agent or became available. They just don't. And that's kind of the rule of thumb. But in that sport, you do. And in the NBA, you get free agency. Baseball, you get free agency. You get trades. Florida has a couple of things. They have incredible weather.
Yeah.
So you're going to play a sport that's primarily played in the winter. If you can live in an area where it's 80 degrees every day, that's a win.
Yeah.
That's a win. So they have incredible weather.
Yep.
They have no state tax.
That's the key.
That's really big.
That's
the
everything.
combination of the two, because there are other states, like Tennessee doesn't have a state tax. I don't think Texas does. Nevada doesn't. But the advantage is, so you have weather, no state tax. And then the other thing that the players down there, they get is anonymity. They can live their lives in peace and nobody bugs them because, quite honestly, most people don't know who they are. So there's that part of it too. And now the way that they're built, they've won 2. They're going to win more, and they're going to get at bats, a lot of at bats, to try to win it all. And they're going to be a destination for players because of all of the things I just mentioned.
Sure.
The same way that Tampa Bay was when they won a couple of cups here in the last decade or so. Like, there are incredible advantages to playing in those markets that it's really hard to overcome if you're these other markets in that sport.
Yeah. Well, it's the worst weather in the country for 3/4 of the country.
Yeah.
December, January, February.
Yeah.
And instead, you're thriving in Florida, in South Beach.
Yeah, I mean, they're in Lauderdale. The stadium's in Lauderdale, so they can live everywhere, really, Fort Lauderdale all the way down to Miami Beach, Key Biscayne, wherever they want, all that whole area.
Hollywood.
Yeah, you can go all the way up there.
Yeah.
So it's actually strange when you think about it, and I assume the only reason the Heat haven't been able to take similar advantage is just because Riley's grip on the franchise and just how kind of iron fist and the fact that LeBron left. But there's no reason that the Miami Heat haven't been doing this exact same thing. And they really haven't attracted a free agent since Bosh and LeBron. That's kind of the last big-time one that they did. So that part's pretty interesting. But I think they could win a ton of them. It's also 32 years now since Canada's won a cup, which is pretty wild.
Yeah.
Put yourself in – if you flip that, imagine if the NFL was in both countries, and much like in Canada provides the majority of the players to the NHL.
That's what I was going to ask. Is that still the case?
For sure.
Okay.
Majority of the players in the sport are from Canada. It is their national sport. They invented it. So flip it and imagine if the NFL was in both countries, if the majority of the players were from the United States and a team from the United States hadn't won in 32 years. And you had to watch as Toronto, Montreal, like all these teams from Canada were winning the Super Bowl every year. That's basically what's happened. I mean, it's 32 years without a cup for them, which is hard to wrap your head around.
Yeah. I don't know what the problem is. Is it market size? Is it?
I think I think weather's a part of it. Like, if you have the choice, I'd prefer better weather.
Yeah.
And
I'm
I get
assuming
that.
the taxes probably aren't so hot.
I don't know.
Back and forth, aren't you getting taxed coming into America?
I don't know what that would be. I'm not smart enough to know what exchange rate, like in terms of, does your dollar worth more up there than it is here? I don't know.
I'm headed there this weekend.
Oh, you are? So our dollar's worth more than, significantly more than, or theirs is worth more than ours?
Theirs is worth.
So when I was a kid.
It's a nice exchange rate right now.
Oh, so their dollar is worth more than our dollar.
Yeah.
Okay. So it used to be, when I was a kid, it was the other way, bigly. Like, you go up there with American dollars, you're killing it. You could buy anything you wanted. It was crazy. So now I haven't been to Canada in a while, so I can't speak to that. But that's good to know because you're headed there this weekend, right? Or in the vicinity.
Golfing. Yeah.
Nice.
In that vicinity, yes.
Yeah, so it just hasn't happened. And then the other thing that's kind of interesting about this, and there's an NFL side to this too, is Connor McDavid is the best player on the planet. He was identified at 13, 14, like most of these Canadian superstars are identified. And he was picked number 1. He's won MVPs. He's done all these things, but he hasn't won the cup. And Gretzky won the cup at 22. Same thing. Identified at 13, 14, number 1, all of it. Delivered right away. He won the cup at 22. Mario Lemieux, same thing. Won it at 25.
Sure.
Sidney Crosby won it at 21. Okay. So all of those guys won it. McDavid's 28. He has not won it. And he is without question, and the only thing that keeps this from being a bigger topic is because of how far hockey has slipped in our country. He is the most accomplished current athlete to not win a championship in the planet. I mean, there's just everybody else that's in that conversation, whether it's Lamar or Josh Allen, 2 MVPs, 1 for Allen, 2 for Lamar, Luka Doncic, like all of that. He's the one.
Sure.
He's the biggest star. He's been the best player on the planet for a decade, and he hasn't won it. And he's lost in Game 7 last year, and he lost in Game 6 this year.
Better team.
Well, I think it speaks to how hard that one guy. Now he was pretty passive in this. in this series. He did not impose his will the way that you would want. I don't know. Maybe trying to do too much. I don't know. Sometimes you just got to throw it on net and see what happens. And I don't know what. I mean, he's also going up against kind of a super team, honestly. But yeah, there is this incredible mounting pressure, and he becomes a free agent next year. So there's that part of it. I don't feel like if you do the best athlete, like best athletes all time to not win a championship, the top of that list is usually baseball players. Like Barry Bonds is on that list.
Sure.
Ted Williams is on that list. Ty Cobb's on that list. Mike Trout's on that list. There's a lot of best baseball players ever. Like you could argue, you could very much argue that Barry Bonds is the best baseball player of all time. You very easily could, and he's not on that list. You could do the same thing if you, in the NFL. I mean, you think about the Hoff, you think about Barry Sanders, you think about Randy Moss. There's a lot of guys who you could argue are the best to ever play their position that didn't win Super Bowls in the NFL, but you can't do that at quarterback. At quarterback, the best ones win it.
Yeah.
Like without there's really no exception. Marino's the best to not win it. Lamar and Josh will get there. They're young right now. They're the most accomplished not to that are active. But it's if you're a quarterback and you're great, you win one. At least one. They all do. I mean, Marino's really the outlier. Like almost all the other ones who you would consider the best to ever play the position have won it at quarterback.
Looking.
Yeah, I mean it's really just Marino.
That's
because I mean Brady's got 7, Montana's got 4, Manning's got 2, Elway's got 2.
Yeah, they said Jim Kelly 4 Super Bowls, lost all of them. Fran Tarkington, Dan Fouts, Warren Moon,
and Marino. Yeah, but nobody walks into any bar conversation and says Dan Marino's the best quarterback ever. Nobody makes that. You could do Brady, you do Montana. Some people might do Manning because he's regular season. He's the most accomplished for sure with all the MVPs. But you never have anybody going in because one of the entry points into that conversation is, did you win a Super Bowl? How many Super Bowls you win? And if the answer is none, then you can't be in that conversation. But you can't. The other sports, it's more difficult because one person can't have. It's so hard in baseball. It's so hard in hockey for one person to have that type of impact. Hoops, it's easy. In fact, you would argue if you do the 10 best players in NBA history, you could make a list of you might be able to get to the best player in NBA history not to win a championship is probably Elgin Baylor. Probably the one. He's a top 20 player all time, but he's not top 10. Everybody in the top 10 has won multiple championships.
Yeah. I mean, the NBA, I start right off the bat with Barkley.
Yeah, and he's a top 50 player all time. Yeah. Karl Malone's a top 50 player all time. I mean, it's Stockton, it's Nash, it's Barkley, Malone, Elgin Baylor's on that. Yeah, Allen Iverson. But none of those would you walk in and say they're a top 10 player of all time. Mm-mm. Everybody who's in the top 10 has won it. And that's the thing that McDavid is now in this spot of the amount of pressure that's now going to be on him. And the only thing that I think he benefits is he plays in Edmonton, which is so remote that it's not something top of mind. Like if he was in Toronto, it would be a much bigger problem. But Edmonton, I'm sure they're probably just so appreciative that he's there that they're probably not burying him and they don't want him to leave. So but he's that type of talent. And to not do it, it's a nothing list in the NHL.
So if Dan Marino wins a Super Bowl, is he one of the top 10 best quarterbacks of all time?
He might be anyway. When he retired, he was the NFL's all-time leader in yardage and touchdowns.
First quarterback to reach 5,000 passing yards in a year, 50,000 career passing yards, and 40-plus touchdown passes in a season.
Yeah.
I mean, 61,000 passing yards, 420 touchdowns to just 252 interceptions. Efficiency rating of 86.4, 6 All-Pro selections, 9 Pro Bowls.
Yeah, I mean, he's top 10 anyway. To me, NFL quarterback, Brady, Montana, gap, then Manning, and then I think it's kind of another gap. Then you get into like Rodgers, Favre, Marino, Staubach. I mean, because you're going to have some of those guys. Unitas.
I was going to say.
Unitas would probably be there with Manning, honestly. He'd probably be in that realm.
Our guy?
Otto.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he would be there with – he's such a tricky one because he's so accomplished. I mean, it's crazy what he did in a 10-year period, but it's so long ago it's hard to, like, put it into perspective. But, yeah, like Otto would definitely be – in that group. He definitely would make the top 5. I still think Marino's top 10, though.
Marino MVP in 84.
Yeah.
3-time first-team All-Pro, 84, 85, 86.
Yeah.
Made it at a time where you're up against Montana.
Yeah, I mean,
the quarterback list is impressive.
Yeah.
And he's first-team All-Pro. He was a 3-time second-team All-Pro. 83, and then jumps to 94, 95. So from 86 to 94, he was a Pro Bowler, but he wasn't an All-Pro. And then on the back end of his career, 5-time NFL passing yards leader, 84, 85, 86, 88, 92.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely top 10, but he can't get into that top echelon because there's no Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah. LeBron made some headlines this week about tying – he's trying to redefine greatest of all time. So one thing that he's doing is he's trying to eliminate the team component of it because that's the Jordan tiebreaker is Jordan has the championships. He's got the 6 titles to LeBron's 4. And LeBron's is the thing he's going for is like it's silly. It's a team accomplishment versus an individual accomplishment. Here's what I would say he's never going to win that argument. It's always going to be Jordan. I don't see any scenario how it's not. But the one thing I will say is he's better longer than anyone's bet at anything.
100%.
In the history of sport, no one's been better longer than he is. I mean, it's nuts.
Not even Brady.
No, not like that. No, no. And Brady was incredible. He won a Super Bowl 45, but like to still make like all NBA teams 20-some years into the league.
Yeah. No, I'll give you that.
Yeah, it's crazy. You guys want to pick one of these to watch? Which one are you watching? Why? Game 7 of an NBA Finals, Game 7 of a Stanley Cup
So this
final.
year, like if
it was all happening right now, had gone to 7.
Yeah.
That's easy. Yeah, I'm going to Edmonton for that.
Okay.
Because it would have been in Edmonton, which would have been the city would have been. It would be like a Canadian hockey Game 7 would be like us hosting the AFC Championship game.
Yeah.
Like the city would shut down. Done.
Yeah.
Like no way, man. I mean, it's.
Yeah, I
think it's that one.
Stanley Cup, Game 7 of the NBA Finals this year, or the Indiana Fever Connecticut Sun after last night's little melee. I'm going WNBA team. Brock's giving me an evil eye. The NBA is number 3 right now.
Oh, I don't care about this final at all.
I don't
care about it.
I
don't care. I know we had Jake on yesterday, and I had him on this morning, and he and I were talking. He goes, and he asked me, he said, "Well, why do you think this is?" And he goes, "Do you think it's small markets?" I said, "It's not small markets. It's stars. It's they have not done a good job of setting the agenda that the masses in this country who consume sports need to pay attention to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. It's not market size, because the reason I can tell you it's not market size is the one entity in sport right now that moves a needle all by itself is Caitlin Clark, and she's from Iowa.
Yeah.
She played college basketball at Iowa. She's from Iowa, and then she's at Indiana. And rates double when she plays versus when she doesn't. So it's star power, and they didn't do a good enough job of building up why we should care. Not us.
Correct.
The public at large, why they should care about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They didn't do a good job of that.
If Gilgeous-Alexander played on a major market team,
I don't think
does that change?
No. Well,
does the league promote him more is what I'm saying.
Maybe.
I think so.
Maybe if it's the Lakers. Maybe. But I think the Lakers are kind of the only ones, because it's not even Boston. Last year it was Boston and Dallas, and the ratings weren't great.
Boston was just workmanlike.
It wasn't and it was. I mean, Dallas is a top 5 metropolitan area in this country, and it was them against Boston, the most winning franchise ever. And it didn't rate bonanza.
No.
So to me, I think they've done a really poor job. I think that league has failed miserably in regard to knowing when to get off of the Steph LeBron train. They keep, and you understand it because they were great in the Olympics in 2024. They've been the faces of the league for 15 years, LeBron for 20. And they just were unwilling to pivot off of it in any way and prop up some of these other stars. And that's Jason Tatum. It's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. It's Anthony Edwards. It's all of that.
It's our guy.
It's our guy. Yeah. Yeah, they just have
Yeah.
they haven't done a good job of getting the casual fan to care about those players, which stinks.
Yeah.
It stinks for them.
It's going to hurt them down the road here.
It's going to hurt them big time because Oklahoma City's not going anywhere.
Nope.
Like, they're going to win. Is it tomorrow night?
Yes, tomorrow night.
And Halliburton's probably not. He's limited at best.
I don't know what that is.
They're
right
very
now.
limited at best. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of where it is you're going to be looking at this OKC team for a while, and they need to do a better job of making sure the casual fan is aware of who he is at a very, very high level. So that's the other thing I said to Jake too. He and I had this conversation about, he grew up in Oklahoma City, Boomer Sooner. Norman is a suburb. The sport that he grew up paying the most closest attention to, that was the most regional sport, has become national, and all the rest of this stuff has become regional and really hyper local. You really only care about your team.
Yeah,
is kind of what it is. You don't care about whatever else is happening around the league, other than the NFL. The NFL is the one thing that's out there.
Yeah.
The Caitlin Clark stuff's pretty interesting. How obviously the book's out on her to try to be physical. Do you know who was involved in that? Was J.C. Sheldon. She's a Dublin girl, Dublin, Ohio. She played at Ohio State. She was a first-team All-American at Ohio State, All Big Ten player, I think 2 or 3 years. So that was between her. So they go back to Ohio State, Iowa. So that's kind of where some of that chippiness comes from. But clearly the book on her is to be ultra-physical with her and try to bully her. I don't think what J.C. did was that at all. She accidentally poked her in the eye. It's inevitable what would happen. And then a player for Indiana. Is that I had heard young Brock? I heard that you were dating Sophie Cunningham. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, that's what I thought. I thought that was
Congratulations
on all of his successes.
Whew. Okay,
he just cruising over from Butler. Took
hey,
in
everybody.
Some. You rebound for her when she gets some shots up?
No, I have a lovely girlfriend.
It'd be a hell of a better story. I'm sure she's lovely, but I'm sure she's great. I'm sure she's great, young Brock. But it would have been a hell of a better story if it was the other way.
I just like that someone on Caitlin Clark's actual team came to her defense last night.
Well, did you know who Sophie Cunningham was before last night?
I did.
You had seen her?
Yes.
She's around.
Yeah.
There you go. It is a mailbag edition of the program. Send us your questions at Browns_daily. We'll also access those on the YouTube stream and have a little bit of fun with that as the program goes along. Have a little fun with that NFL 25 team of the last 25 years.
I have Bender joining you at 2.
Oh, exciting.
To have a little fun. I have a list.
Oh, Bender's on. I didn't see that.
Oh, at 2 o'clock. And he originally was only going to do 15 minutes. He's like, whatever you need. I have in my hands the best college football games every week.
Oh, baby!
You guys may only pick one to watch
each week.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we can. All right,
We'll have some fun with that.
We'll do that. That'll be fun. It's a pretty good slate, to say the least.
Yeah.
We're off and running. Those are your hot topics today, presented by University Hospitals, official healthcare partner of your Cleveland Browns. Dwan Jones from the podium coming up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Add more fun to your fandom with the Bally Bet Sportsbook app. Download today, get 50 back in bonus bets. You place your first wager of 10 or more. Bally Bet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Time to now head to the podium, presented by Vivid Seats. Purchase your official fan experience package today for the ultimate game day. Here's left tackle Dwan Jones.
So,
You're down.
for Pacers,
Yeah, I am definitely excited to see the Pacers, hopefully close this series out. And, it would be nice to see the Pacers bring a championship to Indianapolis. A lot of people was there in the ABA days, but, this is like a, for real thing. We haven't been since Reggie, so I think it'd be good for us.
Just the recovery, can you talk about it and just where you are and how health-wise, how do you feel right now, maybe even compared to a year ago at this time?
Health-wise, I feel better. I should say. I feel like I took care of my body a little bit better this offseason. That was the main thing. Just make those little small adjustments from last year to this year, and just work on them and get better. I lost a lot of body fat, and I pride myself on that, and so I'm happy about that.
Is there a change in diet, change in regimen? What specifically do you think? What can kind of contribute to that?
I would say Kelsey, which is our nutritionist, and so we worked all off season together, and we came up with a great plan, and it definitely came together, and it was worked out for me.
Was it mostly the injury last year that kept you from maybe being in the shape you wanted to be in, or did you just sort of have to learn what it took?
No, for sure. The lingering injury, with my knee, and it sucks. Like I want to be out there. I'm gonna do as much as I can. But I can only go as far as my body goes. And like I said, I had to have surgery last year, and I feel better now.
I know it was only those 3 games we got to see you start at left tackle, but I know Andrew and Kevin have been really complimentary of what you were able to do over there in that small sample size. Just how would you assess what you did last year, and how ready are you to try to show that that starting job should be yours this year?
My main thing is just to take a challenge on. I kept it as real as possible. AB, I personally don't like playing left tackle like that, but I don't care. Like, I'm athletic. It comes with the nature of the game. And I think if Wirfs can do it, and he went from right to left, and he struggled too. And if he can do it, I know I can. Because he's athletic enough, he's big enough, just like me. And I feel that.
What has made you like the right side so much? I guess early on.
I mean, it was something that you play your whole life.
Yeah.
I think you can't. It's hard to adapt to something else. I have like a big, strong, right hand punch. I'm right-handed, so it's easy to punch with your right. But left side, I feel like it's more finesse. And the game is like, it comes a little bit slower, and sometimes faster at times. It just depends.
Dwan, I'm sorry you answered this already, but how much weight did you lose?
Lost a lot of body fat. I'm kind of the same weight-ish from. I would say I lost probably 20 pounds from last year. So no range or nothing, but. For sure, lost a lot of body fat.
Why is the move from one side to the other so difficult? For some guys who can do it flawlessly and others who can't. I think people kind of assume it's maybe easier just because it's the same position, but why is it different?
It's just different just because of the angles. That's the main thing. And for me, I'm still trying to figure that out. It's just like, the way to shave or something, and it just comes to you more natural. You're right-handed, and it's like doing everything with your left. It's like riding your hand with your left. I feel like I'm gonna start doing that stuff in life. Just start doing everything with my left, and I'm already trying to do that, and so I feel like it's working for me.
How did you go about losing that weight, that body fat, and how will that make you a better player?
Like I said, I am playing left tackle. Most of the left tackles are a little bit more leaner, and I feel like that would help my game. Being lean and be able to get with the ball. I'm not going against Miles all the time on the right side, left side. Miles is there every time, so lighter off your feet, and you can be able to block Miles.
What can you learn? What can you learn from blocking Miles once he gets here?
Probably patience. He has a lot of power. I think that's the main thing I'm learning. And his finesse. His finesse at the top of the rush, or to just shock and shed you. I think that's where I can really learn a lot of. Figure out my hands, where to put them, and I think he'll help me out a lot.
Are you studying certain guys? I remember last year you said something about Ronnie Stanley. You really like him. Are you studying certain guys?
Yeah, I think I did Trent Brown this offseason. I see you peeped that. I did Trent Brown this offseason. He had a real good year when he went to left from left to right, or right to left from the Patriots when he was on their team, and I think he did a real good job. And they kind of played similar opponents we did because they're in the AFC, and so I really like that about him. And he went against Miles, and has something for Miles, and I'll just take that and try to put it in my game.
Just considering the injuries you've dealt with the first 2 years of your career, I know the broken bone's kind of a freak thing, but changing your body composition, doing all those things, how much of that is kind of inspired by wanting to, I imagine, play all 17 regular season games?
Yeah, that's that's one of my major goals that I made is just finish out a whole season, and I just want to live up to that.
Dwan, I know Joel's not out there on the field with you guys right now, but I know he's been around and doing stuff like that. How much can you or will you lean on him just to kind of be on that left side and know you're going to play next week?
I lean on him a lot. He's right next to me in the meetings. No, you could rock. No, I lean on Joe a lot though. He's right next to me at meetings, and I think he helps me out just because he knows I'm a young guy. I haven't played on that side, and so he kind of gives me the cheat sheet. But I kind of try to figure things out on my own, which it's football, which you got to.
When you watch guys like Ronnie, Trent, Tristan Wirfs, what are you specifically watching? What are you trying to take away?
Just the way they move in space, I think sometimes I struggle with that, just moving in space as me as a big guy. And, Trent Brown, Trent Williams, Tristan, they all move well in space. And, in a pass game, their feet is always in sync with each other. Sometimes, I've seen Trent get beat. Trent, obviously, he's got beat by Miles. He's got beat by Micah, but, it's very rare. And, I want to be in that very rare category. And, it's good watching them and, getting that, film because, you see it and then you go do it on the field and that helps out so much.
What was the recovery like from the broken leg? And when did you basically get back to being able to go more and actually participate in stuff?
The recovery was long. That was the main part. I just put my head down. Like I said, I feel like I could have really attacked the years past prior treatment a little bit better. I feel like I did that this year. It definitely is at times it's sore, and it's stuff I can't control. But I definitely took a good approach. The trainers here got me right for sure.
Hey, Dwan, you were a basketball player in high school, and a lot of times people say when you cross-train in other sports, it helps you in football or other sports. You think that the footwork you had to use playing basketball helps you help you develop as a tackle and you're able to play both sides and it's flawless, man?
I think that's the main thing, as well as like I said, my footwork. Yes, playing basketball helped a lot, whether from shuffling, like I said, I have to turn this way or shuffle from right to, and it's just like football, you're going to shuffle on defense and, you just can't let the guy get to the basket. And
right.
So that's my main goal is don't let the guy get to the quarterback, don't let the guy get to the basket.
How's it been like working with Coach Bloomgren and everything?
It's been well. He's came from Bill, and he's got some good stuff from Coach Callahan, and I love that.
I know Joel said he's been good with developing the young guys, especially already early. I'd consider you in that group. Do you feel like that you're going to take a next step with him?
Yeah. Hopefully, like I said, we've had 3 in the past 3 years, but hopefully Coach Bloom gets to stay, and I would let it happen here for a long time.
Well, Joel also kind of said that Coach Bloomgren, he used a different word, but he called him like a jerk, sort of, and how he thinks offensive linemen kind of need that. Is that sort of the same style that you kind of appreciate in the coaching room, where they can sort of be tough on you, that sort of tough love type of thing?
Sometimes, I check it at the door. I just tell them I gotta keep it real. How you want to be coached and how you don't want to be coached, and I tell them at the beginning, and everybody finds their own lane and path. Like Callahan coached me different from the way he coached Wyatt, and everybody knows that, and that's just how the coaches are.
All right, coming up next, a big free agent signing in the division as we go around the sports world. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Attention Browns fans, Barking Backers official dog fan club of the Cleveland Browns is back for the 2025 season. Get your pup in on the action, exclusive gear, events, and more. Memberships available now. Fetch yours today or gift a membership to a furry friend at barkingbackers.com. Barking Backers is presented by Milkbone and in association with Embrace Pet Insurance and Pet Supplies Plus. This in the National Football League. We were saying there's no news. Well, now there is.
Of course there is.
Ex-Packer corner Jair Alexander signs a 1-year deal to join the Baltimore Ravens, coming off of consecutive injury-plagued seasons during which he played a total of 14 games, but he is a 2-time Pro Bowler, now joins a Raven secondary that includes Marlon Humphrey, second-year starting quarter Nate Wiggins. I mean, they're pretty loaded up. This is what they do, and he'll be great there. I just book it. He'll be great.
So this is clearly the Ravens. We're all in right now. The window is now. There's going to have to be another extension for Lamar that's going to come sooner rather than later. And you know how well all of those negotiations have gone with Lamar because he represents himself.
Yeah.
So that always becomes a stumbling block. It's a 1-year, $6 million deal. Lamar basically called this yesterday in his press conference.
Yeah, he did.
Now, Lamar and Jair Alexander played together at Louisville.
Yeah.
So when Lamar started hinting around, you knew there was something on the horizon, and sure enough, today he's a Baltimore Raven. They are loaded. You know, we did we do last week the over-under, like, best rosters? I think we did, best rosters in the NFL.
We could have. Yeah, we could have.
I don't know how they're not.
I mean, I think, you know, we've been talking about this all spring. I think, you know, them and Buffalo have a pressure that is just different than everybody else. And I think those two teams have more pressure on them than the rest of the league combined. But, yeah, and Baltimore might have the most. Like, you got a 2-time MVP.
Yeah.
You are all in
Probably
financially as can be.
but
you're right. Probably should have been a 3. And you have how much longer is Derrick Henry going to be this effective? We've been saying that for a couple of years, and then last year he's great. So, But at some point it will stop. And when it stops, you're not replacing him. So, yeah, I mean, I think they are as leveraged as can be to go make a run at this thing.
You have Lamar. Your backup is Cooper Rush, who's won games when he was with Dallas. Like, he's a proven backup. They have backups at every position. It's disgusting.
No, they're good.
Henry, Justice Hill's a good running back.
Yep.
Zay Flowers, Bateman. They brought in DeAndre Hopkins. I don't know what he's got left in the gas tank because he didn't show much against Kansas City. But Mark Andrews, Ricard, your offensive line is really good. I mean, defensively is Matabike, Vanoy, Roquan Smith, Owe, Kyle Hamilton. Malachi Starks, the rookie. Now Jair Alexander, Marlon Humphrey. Awuzie's now coming off the bench for them.
What I think is pretty wild what happened there is they have, over the last 25 years, become a really cool franchise in the eyes of the folks in the league and fans and so forth. They become a place that you will play there for discount. I mean, this is something historically that years ago, like the Cowboys would get this, the 49ers would get this. Usually it was reserved for like the teams that won a lot would be able to get this. The Raiders, because people like the idea of the silver and black, so you'd get a guy, you know, maybe in the twilight playing at discount for the Raiders. That's what they are. They've been doing this for a long time where guys will paratroop in there and play, and it's a very desirable place to go. And it sucks because they're in our division and we have to deal with them all the time. But no, it's a very Ravens move in my view.
Yeah.
Speaking of the NFL Today CBS pregame show will be hitting the road this upcoming season on select Sundays. Preview of the show aired from CBS Studios in New York. The cast consists of James Brown, Bill Cowher, Nate Burleson, J.J. Watt, Matt Ryan, and Jonathan Jones. They'll broadcast from Lambeau Field when the Packers host the Lions. So Fox tried this with Joe Buck. Do you remember this? When Joe Buck was actually hosting. So when Pat Summerall retired, Joe Buck took over the Pat Summerall role.
Gotcha.
But he was also hosting because JB used to be on Fox, and there was a time before Menifee got promoted up. So in the very beginning, Joe Buck was A-Team, and he hosted the pregame show.
I don't remember that.
It maybe only happened for a year.
Okay.
But it was very brief. And then Menifee came in. It was a lot. Then Menifee came in and did it. They've tried this before. It worked on the show Hoff was on. the NFL Network show on Thursday night.
Sure.
It worked there. I don't think it works at 1 o'clock. I don't.
I think you can do it when there's a big 4 o'clock game. They did that late last year. I think they were in Buffalo. Was that right? Were they in Buffalo? I think CBS was in Buffalo because Nance even said, you guys should do this more often. You guys got to come out to some of these. Maybe it was Detroit. It might have been Detroit. It might have been Detroit, Minnesota.
Yeah.
Either way, I think you could pick and choose. But the NFL pregame shows aren't college game day. No. And you're not getting the college audience.
You also have to have so it works in college for one, kids.
Yeah.
Lots of kids.
Correct.
That want to be on TV.
Yeah.
So that's part of it. That's a big reason that it works. There is almost always they're either in a quad or a square or out front of a stadium. So all of those things, those are all layups. It's just a totally different feel, like a college morning versus. I mean, we as close. I tell you, the one thing that if they're going to do it, then they've got to go to places in the north. And then the other thing is you need somebody on that panel who will play TV.
Yeah.
Because all those guys take themselves really seriously, and they act like what they're saying has never been said before in the history of football. You have to have somebody. In the old days, it was Fowler, or not Corso, and in the last 4 or 5 years, it's been McAfee.
Sure.
You have to have somebody who will play to the audience that's behind you. You're doing that's what's so hard about remote television. I did it a lot when I was in the TV game. It is so hard because you have to play to the audience that's behind you while also the more important thing is the audience through the screen.
Yeah, because that
so you have to have
your
both
money.
Right. So you have to do both a little bit because you do need the audience behind you to be engaged. They got to be loud. They got to be having a good time. Like if you were going to do it for our games, you'd have to go to the Muni lot. But then you're going to run into all sorts of stuff with the FCC.
Sure.
So I don't. The better place would be somewhere around the stadium, but we don't have tailgating currently there around the stadium. So there's no real way to do it there. Like the place to do it would be the Muni lot. When we get the dome, then it'll be different. You'll be able to be in those.
Yeah, I think the Thursday night crew was outside. They were on Dog Pound Drive.
Dog Pound Drive, yeah, that's not bad.
But again, now you've got to get people to leave their tailgating to come to Dog Pound Drive, which we want them to do. But
right, but at the same
a lot of
time,
people
like
are set in their ways.
Yeah, they're walking. You're not. That's the thing about the college experience is like everyone's just kind of there and they stay, and the only people crazy enough to do that typically are people in their 18 to 22s.
Correct.
Yeah, people who don't read DMs from Sophie Cunningham. Just saying. Yesterday,
boy.
Yesterday marked the 31st anniversary. I saw this morning as well. You've seen the 30 for 30 on this, right?
Yeah.
So for the kids like young Brock and young Dr. J, yesterday in 1994, Arnold Palmer was playing his final round of a major championship at the U.S. Open at Oakmont, which is his home course.
Yep.
The New York Rangers were celebrating a Stanley Cup, their first Stanley Cup win ever, with the ticker tape parade in New York City. It was game one of the NBA it was some game in the NBA Finals that the Knicks were involved with against the Rockets.
Yep.
So that was happening in New York as well. Ken Griffey Jr. hit his 30th home run faster than Babe Ruth hit his 30th. This was before people hit 70. This was trying to get 61.
Correct.
And he was the fastest ever to 30. And on that same day, O.J. Simpson got in a white Bronco.
Also a World Cup game.
Oh, that's right. The start of the World Cup.
The voice of the Browns was calling the World Cup on NBC.
That's exactly right. The great Jim Donovan. So that's right. The World Cup was kicking off all on the same day.
Got enough going on?
The coolest thing, if you haven't seen that documentary, it's a 30 for 30 that's amazing. If you haven't seen it, my favorite part of it is they show Costas and Berman, because Berman's doing the U.S. Open. I believe he's doing the U.S. Open at that time. And Costas is doing the NBA. You hear them talking to their producers about how to handle it. What are we supposed to do here?
Yeah.
And there's also in it, there's a video, I think I remember this right. There is a video that shows Arnold Palmer and O.J. Simpson making a Hertz commercial together in the 70s.
Yeah. Because all the commercials, you couldn't pull them in time.
I think that the apples to apples for the O.J. thing now, the athlete to me that would be probably be Peyton Manning. That's how shocking it was.
It was. Well, and you're watching the NBC stuff because of the NBA Finals game. I mean, he's their friend and colleague.
Dude, he was on the NBC forever. He was in the Naked Gun. He was in 1,000 ads.
By the way,
for these kids, they have no.
Gun.
It looks kind of might be okay with Liam
Neeson.
So it might be okay.
Yeah.
It's hard because if you're of a certain age and you weren't around at that time, it's impossible to understand. But I mean, imagine if Peyton Manning were being charged with murder of his ex-wife and her boyfriend, and driving through the streets of Denver being chased by police, because that's probably what it would be. OJ was everywhere.
He was beyond
everywhere.
Popular.
Yeah, and the other thing is there was no internet, so you didn't know about the previous domestic violence stuff that had happened in the 80s. You didn't know any of it. So the first time you heard any of this was, wait, what?
Yeah.
OJ? He's on the run? It was nuts.
And then you're like, are we sure he's in that car? Are we sure he's in that Bronco?
One of the highlights of my entire time doing this, it will be this as long as I do this, is when we had Al Michaels in here, and I asked him about Farcical, because he was called in with Peter Jennings.
Yeah.
Because he knew OJ and lived in the same neighborhood. He's sitting there with Peter Jennings on ABC News and trying to break all this down, and they took a Howard Stern prank caller.
I remember.
And Michaels had the great line about Farcical and all of that. I mean, that's where that came from. So, yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
That was a wild day. If you have not seen that documentary, I couldn't recommend it more highly enough. It's crazy that all those things happened in the same day. The great Bill Bender of the Sporting News is going to join us. We are going to pick the best college football games each week for the upcoming season. We'll have a little fun doing that coming up next. The mailbag is open as well. You can get your questions in on the YouTube stream if you're watching there, and also at Browns_Daily on the X platform. Second hour of the program up next. Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of Cleveland Browns. All right, second hour on a First Friday Miracle edition of the program. Merely Bo is here. The great Gibbe is here. And now a great friend of the program joins on the Twisted Tea hotline. Brought to you by Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns. Keep it Twisted Cleveland. It is the sporting news great. He is Bill Bender, and he joins us. And Gibbe, we have a task.
We do. Hi, Bender. How are you? Thank you first and foremost, because I went to him at 11:40 with this idea.
I'm here. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, buddy, are you lacrossing this weekend, or what's your youth activity this weekend?
Yeah, we did. The boys did this weekend. My daughter's team has a tournament this weekend, and then we go to Indianapolis next weekend. So it's fun, as you know, and I think you're a guy that spends quite. We were blessed by the weather this weekend. It wasn't quite as sunny and hot,
right.
But I know that's coming at the next couple.
Yes, it is. It is. We're going to be in Annapolis this weekend, and I looked. It looks like it's going to be mid-90s on the turf, so that'll be nice. Nice weather over there, my friend. It's good talking to you. Go ahead, Gibby. What do we have?
All right, gentlemen, your task today.
Yep.
I sent this to Bender already. He's got a copy as well.
Okay.
You have a list of the best college football games each week for the upcoming season.
Yep.
Your assignment, if you can only pick one game to watch /cover,
yep,
which one are you taking and why?
Okay.
So, week one, we've got this is the August 23rd to September 1st window. We've got a couple days.
Yeah, you got week 0 as
week
the
0.
Iowa State, the game.
I'd
like Dublin, but
yeah.
I probably don't, not for that.
Iowa State at Kansas State in Dublin.
Mm-hmm.
Texas at Ohio State. LSU, Clemson. Notre Dame, Miami.
Bender, why didn't – let's just pretend that you and I are the bosses of college football. Why in the hell – well, I'm going to stay away from the Fox Noon thing with Ohio State. I've done enough of that in the last few months. But if you were to say, why wouldn't somebody take a Notre Dame, Miami, or LSU, Clemson – well, I guess they're both television partners on ABC. That's why. I guess my thing is there's almost too much good stuff this first weekend because this is – I would love to be at LSU at Clemson. I think the clear answer is Texas at Ohio State, right, Bill? But at the same point, like atmosphere, it's probably going to be better at Clemson.
Yeah, I'm going to Texas, Ohio State, even though I think LSU Clemson's probably got a little more impact in some ways because, the quarterback's the ACC-SEC matchup. But, getting the windows right. I mean, Miami Notre Dame's a good one, too.
Mm-hmm.
But, Arch Manning's debut, defending national champion, the shoe, should be at night, but we'll leave it go. That's the game I'm going to.
Yeah, and the other thing, Gibby, about this is LSU at Clemson is the only one of these matchups where returning quarterbacks are returning quarterbacks for both teams. So it's Nussmeier and Klubnik in that one. Notre Dame's probably going to be Lloyd Carr's grandson. Miami's Carson Beck. I mean, people forget about that, but Carson Beck's going to be Miami. And then, obviously, it's going to be Julian Sand and Arch. So that's the game of the year in college football, and you might get it twice.
Onward we go to the following week. Gentlemen, there's one option, and this is what we talked about.
It's too
much.
How
about we push one of the games from week 0 back? It's Michigan at Oklahoma. It is what it is.
I like
I'm
OU.
going off the board.
Okay.
I'm going to the other OU that weekend, the real one, and I'm going to go watch them play West Virginia.
So
West Virginia at Peden. That's the game of the week. West Virginia's coming down to the MAC, and that's the game I would go to. And part of the reason, as you see with my picks, I'm only wanting to go to places once, or in Ohio State's case, twice. I'm trying to get to as many places as possible.
I love that thought. I also think it's really cool that Ohio and West Virginia made this happen. What's the distance between those two campuses, Bill? It can't be far.
No, and I remember watching West Virginia way back with a guy named Amos Zaraway for the Steelers. He ran all over the Bobcats, I think, the last time we played them. So a little payback in Peden. Who knows? Rich Rod will be there. I mean, that's one selling point. How does he do in Morgantown in year 1?
Yeah, I like their over, by the way. I think it's 4.5. I think I like their over. I like that game. Well, that's a 2-for-1. 2 games in West Virginia for 1 at Ohio. So I think it's really cool that they did that. I would love to see – I think Oklahoma's going to be good. Johnny Meters, the transfer from Washington State, he's now at Oklahoma. I think Michigan's going to have some big-time growing pains in year 1 with Bryce Underwood. I like them the under. I think it's like 8.5. I think of them under that. And I like that OU game a lot. I've not been to a game in Norman either, so that's an easy one for me.
Morgantown to Athens is 2 hours and 35 minutes.
Yeah. Just because there's not an easy way to get there. Crow flies, it would be nothing, I bet.
Correct.
Yeah.
Onward we go to the following week. Plenty of options here, gentlemen. I give you Wisconsin at Alabama, Georgia at Tennessee, Florida at LSU, Texas A&M at Notre Dame. Bill Benner, what are you taking, or are you going off the board on me?
I'm not going to go off the board anymore. That was the only one, and it was selfish. But
Good
Florida
for you.
LSU. I think Florida LSU early in the season, depending on what LSU does.
Uh-oh.
As well, good SEC matchup typically delivers good games.
Bill, I think we lost you there. Something happened with your Bluetooth, I think.
Did I lose you?
No,
Yeah,
you're back. You're going to LSU you're going to Georgia at Florida at LSU? All right. I think he was going Florida at LSU.
did.
This is what I heard on that.
Florida LSU. That's what I got.
Okay.
Perfect.
I've been to that game. I was there when Tebow went there in Baton Rouge. It was the loudest, as loud as any city I've ever been in. It's electric. I love that one, but I've already seen that game at its very peak with Florida at LSU. I think I'm going to go Rocky Top. I'm going to go Georgia at Tennessee in week 3. But it's tough. I like the look of that Notre Dame game too, but I'm going to go Georgia at Tennessee. I'll take Georgia at Tennessee. Tennessee had the swap. Their quarterback went to UCLA. Then UCLA got the transfer, I think, from App State. Now he's at Tennessee. And Georgia, what does that look like with all of those guys? So I'd like to go to Rocky Top for that one.
Up next, guys, the following week, the week of September 15th through the 21st. Florida at Miami, Michigan at Nebraska at 3:30 on Paramount CBS. Let's see.
I'll go Florida.
I was going to say.
Yeah, I got this one. I'm going to go Florida at Miami. Beck, they should be undefeated at this point. Well, no, I don't know. That Notre Dame game's tough for them. But it's South Florida. It's DJ Legway at Florida has a chance to be a really special player, the quarterback there. I go Florida at Miami. That's my game.
Bill Bender.
I'll go Michigan, Nebraska. Underwood Rail. Another road test for the Wolverines early in the season, and we'll see if Nebraska, if they can get that one, they're more for real. So Bo and I are on different flights so far.
We'd really have it covered, though, if we did this. If you and I did a college football show and we did this, we'd really have it covered.
You would. The following week, Mr. Bender, the decision is up to you. LSU at Ole Miss, Ohio State at Washington, Notre Dame at Arkansas, Alabama at Georgia, Oregon at Penn State at night for a whiteout. What say you?
I'm going Bama, Georgia. I'll keep that one short so we can keep it moving. It was an awesome game last year. It's consistently national title picture. Georgia hasn't lost at home at all. I believe they have the longest, nation's longest home winning streak. We'll stay there.
I would have bet anything this is where we would be doing the same. I'm going to Penn State. I think a whiteout at Penn State is the best environment in the entire sport. Oregon going in there. Both those teams should be undefeated at that point. Dante Moore, high-profile recruit. Local guy, Drew Aller. If Drew can't get it done, I don't know who's going to get it done at Penn State. That's a big game. I'll go there.
Fascinating that Bama, Georgia's that early. Awful early.
Yeah, they moved it way up
in the season. Following week, the final week in September into the first weekend in October, the Browns will be in London. Your options, Mr. Bishop, are Miami at Florida State, Texas at Florida, Wisconsin at Michigan.
I'm going straight to Tennessee Street in Tallahassee, old school, Miami, Florida State. I thrived there, just thrived. I haven't been back since I left. I'd love to go. I don't know if that game will be great, but I'd go to that one. I because at this point I've already seen Florida, and I'm not going to the big house for anything unless I'm paid.
Bender.
Yeah, I'm there too. And
how about that?
Piece coming tomorrow. You guys' timing is impeccable because tomorrow I think we're running this piece at Sporting News about the 25 best rivalries in college football right now. Not historically, but right now.
Yep.
And as Bo will tell you, and we have talked about this in the past, Miami and Florida State's spot on that list is shocking when you grew up and the three of our age. Like, you're like, there's no way. That game used to be number one. And but I still would like to go see it this year. That'd be great.
Up next, week 6, because week 0 was at the beginning, so this is technically week 6. Your options, Mr. Bender: Michigan at USC, Oklahoma at Texas for a 3:30 start.
Oklahoma, Texas.
Same.
Yeah.
Easy.
So, Oklahoma, Texas. Been there, have done it before. Amazing. They split the stadium. You can make the argument it's the biggest game in the SEC right now.
I like OU. I think they're going to be a little.
Yeah,
they're
you've
over
mentioned
unders.
them a couple times.
It's like 5.5 or 6 is all. I don't think they're going to win like 10 games, but I think Meter's really good. I think they'll be good. I'd love to go to that game in Dallas.
Week 7 we go, and Bo, you have the selection here: Tennessee at Alabama, Ole Miss at Georgia, Washington at Michigan, Ohio State at Wisconsin, USC at Notre Dame. Early.
God almighty, Georgia's schedule's crazy, isn't it? Again,
It is.
I'd go to South Bend. I'd go see that team. Now, this one I'd want to see what the records were before I picked it, but right now I'd go to USC Notre Dame. Historic rivalry. I've never seen.
Is that a must-win for their coach over there? Because he hasn't done a whole lot.
At some point, he's got to win games. I don't know if it'll be this year for Lincoln Riley, but that's one I'd go to.
Mr. Bender.
Rivalry's on the endangered species list too.
Yeah.
With USC maybe not renewing that, but so you better go now. Notre Dame USC is the pick of those games. I like one compromise if they're going to try to move forward is I said if USC really tries to push that off the schedule, why not just open the season with it? You know, every year, USC, Notre Dame, you could open the season, make a really good tradition out of it. Not the same, but that's what I'd do.
Bill, you and I have talked about this a million times. I've said it in the mornings in Central Ohio forever. The Big Ten should just bully Notre Dame into joining. Just say
Correct.
USC's not playing you, Michigan's not playing you, Ohio State's not playing you, Purdue's not playing you, Michigan State's not playing you. None of them are playing you. So if you want to play the ACC, fine. If you want to play the teams that you have traditional rivalries with, then you're going to have to be in this league.
Up next.
I agree.
Yeah. Up next, week number 8, Mr. Bender, Texas A&M LSU, Michigan State, Kansas State, Kansas. It's a rough one.
Because I'm trying to get around and be fair, Michigan State would be the normal pick there. I think that rivalry's gotten so nasty that it's taken away from it, honestly.
Yeah,
all the
you're
off-the-field stuff and, the tunnel fights and those things. So I'm going to penalize them and go to Kansas State, Kansas instead, and see if Kansas can actually beat Kansas State. That is a fun game to watch on TV, and I got to go to a couple Big 12 games here. So if I miss Farmageddon, I'm going there.
Yeah, I love the Farmageddon drop out of you. Here's the other thing: if you go to Kansas, local boy Darren Peterson, that could be around Midnight Madness for the basketball team. So maybe you get to watch a little bit of that with Bill Self and the boys. That should be right around that time. I wouldn't be surprised if those two things were linked up. Doesn't that seem like a natural, Bill? Do like Midnight Madness, Midnight at the Fog or whatever on Friday night, and then have Kansas State, Kansas on Saturday. That seems like how they would roll that thing out. So I'm with you on that one. You and I'll be
that
Lawrence.
would be perfect.
Yeah.
Week number 9 we go. Bishop, you have Penn State at Ohio State. Sure, it'll be a noon game. Georgia and Florida.
Yeah, it's going to be noon. Penn State, Ohio State's going to be noon because they have the first 3 picks, and Fox took all the Ohio State games. So that's a great game. I'd have more fun at the Florida-Georgia game.
Well, yeah.
That's as much fun as you can have in the sport. But no, I'm going to go to Columbus for Penn State, Ohio State.
Mr. Bender.
Penn State, Ohio State. And, one of the things in that rivalry article I mentioned for tomorrow, Kirby's kind of killing some of these rivalries because he's winning too much. Florida, Tennessee, Georgia Tech. Georgia fans aren't going to be real happy with me tomorrow. I'll just leave it at that.
Up next, guys, week number 10. Mr. Bender, you get to pick from LSU, Alabama, Washington, Wisconsin, or Navy at Notre Dame.
I'll go LSU, Bama. And by the way, Michigan, Ohio State, the last 10 years, 7 games where both teams were ranked. LSU, Alabama, 8. It's the only rivalry where it's that I think the actual game matches Ohio State, Michigan. This is the one, and we'll see if it stays that way without Nick Saban involved. But for now, it's there.
I'm with you. I'd go here, too. I think it's a monster season for both of the coaches. Brian Kelly at LSU, he really hasn't won much. He's won 10 games. He won a Heisman. Jaden Daniels has. But in terms of, like, they haven't even played, like, a major bowl game since he's been at LSU, which is pretty crazy. So he really needs to get going. And then Kalen DeBoer, year 2 at Bama, you better start. You better start because he had a bad loss last year at Oklahoma. So I think that game would have a lot of juice to it.
Week number...
This is week 12.
Week 12, but technically week 11, I guess you could say.
Well, they go week 0, so
that's what I mean.
I think it's week 12.
All right, Bishop, you get to pick from Texas, Georgia, Oklahoma, Alabama,
easy.
or UCLA, Ohio State.
Texas, Georgia. The only game in the country that might have more talent than Texas, Georgia, and it's arguable, is Texas, Ohio State. So yeah, that's a heavyweight tilt. Texas, Georgia.
Mr. Bender.
Again, yes. It was awesome. They did it twice last year, Arch Manning versus Georgia. Probably going to be a key piece of the puzzle at that point. So that's where I'm going as well.
The calm before the storm the week before Thanksgiving. Duke, North Carolina, Tennessee, Florida. Bill Bender from the Sporting News.
Well, I got to get one stop to see Bill Belichick. So I'm going North Carolina Duke here. A little bit of an upset. One of my college roommates lives down there, so I can visit him, and I can go see Belichick and see how that's working at North Carolina. And, the game, like you said, this is always that week where most of the time the games are appetizers anyway for rivalry week. That's not a bad one to go to.
7.5 wins for him there. That's the number. I think he's under. I think the cupboard's pretty bare, Bill. And they weren't active in the portal either, so I think that's trouble. I would go to Tennessee. Florida's really fun. They really hate each other. I'd go to Gainesville. I've been to Gainesville a long time. I'd go to Gainesville for that one.
Final week, rivalry week. Bill Bender.
Pick one other than Ohio State, Michigan, because I think we both would go to that one.
Texas A&M, Texas, UCLA, USC, Clemson, South Carolina, Florida State, Florida, Bama, Auburn.
If there's one, so I've covered every Michigan-Ohio State game since Harbaugh arrived, essentially. So since 2015, I've been to all those. So, there's no substitute for it. It is the best rivalry in college football. There's nothing. I'm preaching to the choir here. But if I have to go experience something else, I'm going Texas A&M. I kind of want to feel it. I kind of want to understand that I do think those two fan bases hate each other. The game was intense last year. It is in Austin. I think over the next 10 years, if A&M can win a couple, it could really develop into one of the best, consolation prizes to Ohio State, Michigan as the best rivalry in college football.
I'm like you. I think that when you talk to folks down there, the amount that Texas A&M hates Texas is crazy. So I think that would be palpable. To just be a little different here, I'm going to go Clemson at South Carolina in Columbia. Lenora Sellers, the quarterback at South Carolina, is a stud. This is kind of Dabo's. If he can do it, it feels like it's got to be this year with Klubnik. I think both those teams could be in the mix for the playoff as well. So I'm going to go to Clemson at South Carolina. But I think that last weekend's loaded, obviously.
Gentlemen, I appreciate your time. Bill Bender, thank you as always.
Hey, that drops tomorrow, Billy? When's that drop tomorrow, your rivalry piece?
Yeah, that drops tomorrow. I'll share it with you guys tomorrow. You'll enjoy it. There's some good tidbits in there. And, hey, I didn't know if we would get through all 14 weeks. Easy. You guys are pros, and always great talking to you.
Oh, hey, do me a favor. Release it before 9 a.m. You do that for me?
I think we can do that. Oh, yeah, I know why. I know
you know what.
I got you. Yeah. I'll get it done for you.
It's the middle of summer, buddy. Throw me a bone. Let's see what we can do here. Good talking to you, pal.
I'll make sure we get it. All right, guys.
There he goes. Bill Benner, the Sporting News, joining us. There are certain times when what I do crosses over.
Yes.
And I was about ready to send a break in a different way than I should have sent a break because of
kick save and a beauty.
Sometimes worlds collide.
It happens.
You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Ballybet, an official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. All right, the countdown is on. Browns football will be here before you know it. Lock in your spot now as a Browns season ticket member. Score the lowest prices with no deposit needed. Buy online and check out your view for every epic matchup of the 2025 home slate. Visit browns.com/tickets now for more. Time to open up that mailbag. You get your questions in, a bunch of them in already at Browns_Daily. Also, anytime on the YouTube chat, Dr. J is going to be monitoring those. Hello, Gibby.
Hi. Oh, yeah, I got it. We have a ton here. Let's see. J-Mac, we'll get right to some of the questions on YouTube, and if you get more, pass them along, buddy. From the complainer.
All right.
What is the most difficult DIY project you've ever taken on?
I've taken on. So I don't take on many because I believe a man's got to know his limitations.
1,000,000%.
Yeah. So probably the most difficult thing that I've taken on.
My wife takes on all the DIY projects.
She does that.
My brother-in-laws all make fun of me. They're like, "Do you even know what a hammer is?" I was like, "Yeah, I do know my way around that, but
right.
I don't have I have no interest in learning any more about those things."
There's a great many things that my wife is completely surprised that I'm able to do because I think she forgets I grew up where I did and then I had to do all of these things growing up. Probably a difficult one. I had a drainage, and I still do. I have a drainage issue in the lawn that I've tried to do myself a few times in terms of where water is spilling off the driveway into the lawn, and I can't get it right, and I've gotten like knee deep into it, and I know it's not right, and there's a math component to it in terms of the right angle to get the drainage right, and I'm not landing the plane on it.
Yeah.
So that's anytime water's involved, most difficult, do it yourself. If water's involved, top of the list.
From Lyle Miller, how many times does Gibbe say correct on a typical show?
Hey, that's a fine Montanan. Lyle's a fine Montanan. I'm pretty sure
Really?
that's him. I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
Hey,
I'm
Lyle,
pretty sure.
the price is wrong. Incorrect.
That is correct. That was what was it? It was Craig Kilborn, who the kids don't even know who he is. But at one point he hosted the Late Late Show and he used to do 5 questions.
Yeah.
And one of the what he
Love
would say,
Kilborn.
he would be like, "That is correct." Like when they got one right, and he always started with geography. His social media is a fun follow.
Oh, the number of great people that have hosted that show.
Yeah, really talented.
Yeah. Dog Pound Cleveland Brown.
Okay.
Hypothetical question. Would you rather give up one of next year's first-round picks and we get Joe Thomas at his prime for the next 4 seasons only? Or give up a third-rounder next year and we get a clean and responsible Josh Gordon at his peak for 5 seasons? Well,
What
you're
was
going to
it?
make
It's-
us
it's-
pick against
it's
our
next,
friend?
It's next year's one for Hoff for 4.
Yeah.
Or
a third
or a
rounder for a
third?
clean and responsible.
Okay.
Josh Gordon was a lot
in today's day and age, he would not have been in what he was in. It was a
Correct.
different climate.
Yes.
With that type of stuff.
You would get him for 5 seasons.
I'm going to tell you right now, there is the list of human beings who I adore who played professional sports. The Hoff is at the top. But this is just weighted in a way that so next year I give up a third. I still have 2 1s, and I get prime Josh Gordon for 5 years.
5.
And there's nothing
when
off
he
the
was
field.
The best wider, yeah.
Then that's the answer.
Yeah,
that's the answer.
And
the
we
Hoff's
love
the
Joe.
Hoff, but I mean that's the question. The flaws in the question it should be a 1. Then it's a tougher. Then it's a difficult conversation. Plus, I'm getting 5 years versus 4, so it's just a value in terms of that.
Let's see. What Jaguar player does Prisco have at 1? That's what Browns backers North Jersey said. I don't remember what Prisco's number 1 player was.
I assume it's Allen, right?
Stand by. I had this.
He won
for
the
next
MVP.
week.
Like I would think that he's the one.
What if I had told you no? He's got Miles 2. He's got Allen 4.
Lamar won?
No.
Oh, he's trying to do something that'll make people talk about
Lamar
him.
is 6th. Burrow is 7, by the way.
Okay.
There's one quarterback you haven't guessed yet.
Mahomes? He's got him one?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right. Number 1 is Mahomes. Number 2, Miles. 3, Saquon. 4, Allen. 5, Justin Jefferson. 6, Lamar. 7, Burrow.
Okay. I mean, it's hard to – I'm not going to besmirch Mahomes. I mean, it kind of speaks for itself, but he's not been a best form of late.
Correct.
Yeah.
Let's see. What else am I looking
You know what I stumbled into last night while watching after the intermission? I watched the first period of the hockey, and then it was the intermission report, and I flipped over to find a little program called Trading Places. So when people tell me, like, oh, you got to get off cable, I wouldn't have had that fun. I mean, I showed up right at the time when Beeks is pinching Winthorpe. I mean, how do you – I'm in now. For 20 minutes I'm watching that. What a win. So – come on. Still good.
It holds, and like last year in Philly, like, you know, we're on the bus early. We're on the radio crew, we're on a 7 a.m. bus. Segura's all sleeping in his cozy confines for another couple hours at that point. I'm on a bus. We're headed to the stadium.
Yeah.
It's quiet because everybody's, you know, they're still waking up, and you're getting your routine together for what's coming when you get to the stadium there, because it's a full day in Philly.
Yep.
We go by the building.
Did you?
And I literally stand up. I'm like, yes!
That's it right there.
That's it. And everybody's looking at me. I'm like, none of you have any
They have no idea. These
great
guys have
Clay
never
Weiss,
seen.
The great Clay Weiss knew.
You guys haven't even seen Trading Places, have you?
Trading Places?
Have you?
I have, yeah.
How? Who introduced you to that?
My dad.
Oh, Dad. Yeah.
Thank God.
Did it hold up for you?
It was funny, yes.
Yeah.
I love Dan Aykroyd.
Papa
Blues
Danny.
Brothers is one of my favorites, too.
Oh,
Dr.
that's
J?
an all-time great. Dr. J loves the Blues Brothers.
Has he seen Trading Places?
No.
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 Oh, well,
You should.
it's on your to-do list.
Yeah.
It's on your to-do list.
You're going to have some days off coming up. Maybe on the flight out west.
There you go.
That'll take some
make
time.
sure there's no kids around.
Or do. And then make it awkward. I live for that. Mr. Camtastic, this is my final question for Top Gun.
All right.
It's very sad that it's your final question. Do you think that Iceman should be on trial for not relinquishing the shot to Maverick? He feels responsible to me.
All right, so this is
where
this kind of ties into
Goose
the
dies.
whole idea that actually I think it's the other one. Is it it's the one at the end, isn't it? Because he asked the Goose one last week how he wouldn't leave, and that he got in the jet wash. I think it's Iceman both times. Is the reality of it? I think it's ice both times.
The fault lies.
Yeah, that there should be some fault. I'm going to tell you this. Whoever asked this question, whatever happened back at Miramar in '86 or '7, whenever that was made, and wherever they were at the Top Gun at Navy Fighter Weapons School, whatever happened, it led to one of the great final scenes between two characters ever, when Maverick goes to visit him and he's about ready to die at his house.
Yeah.
So whatever happened, water under the bridge, baby, because you got the great scene in Maverick.
And the
which was
Iceman
awesome.
saved his career.
Yes.
I don't know how many times, according to the movie.
According to now, but I do think he's
an
got a
admiral.
point that maybe Ice should have been looked into a little bit, because maybe he was a little negligent too.
Yeah. Here's my fun note of the day. I stumbled upon this.
All
And
right.
I didn't even tell these guys. I said I'm not saying anything to anybody.
Okay.
Did you know that Chevy Chase was the drummer in a band that would later become Steely Dan?
No, I did not know that.
How about that?
I did not know that. No.
He was in a college band with Donald Fagen and Walter Becker called the Leather Canary. After Chevy left the band, the remaining two members formed Steely Dan.
How about that? No, I did not know
Just
that.
for the record, I hate Steely Dan.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. No, I did not know that. I didn't know he had those abilities.
I didn't either. You can keep your questions coming. There are 6.
What does that one mean? I just saw that, and I don't know what that means. NA. What does that mean?
I don't.
Do you know what that means, young Brock?
North American, I believe.
Oh.
North American team names shared across MLB, NHL, NFL, and NBA. Can you name them? This is from
Giants.
The Horan. CLE Fannin. It says CHI at the end, but we're going to go Fannin because it's Harold fan.
All right. Giants, Cardinals.
Cardinals in the NBA?
No, Cardinals in football and baseball.
Yeah, but
no, he's using Major League Baseball, NHL, NFL, and NBA. You can use any of the 4 leagues to get 2 of them that have the same name.
Okay, I was
So
thinking
I got-
like all 6, and this was going to take a little time.
No.
We were
I don't
not
think it's
going to
that.
have enough
No.
time.
I think it's Giants, it's Cardinals, and then it starts getting a little bit interesting. Are the Eagle? No.
Not Tigers.
Be helpful if you had
Jets.
Jets. Good job out of you, Kev. Winnipeg
Good,
Jets, New York
good,
Jets.
very good.
It's a very sound job out of you.
Panthers?
Yes, Panthers. Florida. Good job out of you,
night.
Gibbe.
Good night.
My job here is done. Carolina and Florida. Are there 2? All right, this is going to get a little tricky. No. There's not 2 Bulls. Kings.
Lions.
Who's the other Lion other than Detroit? Who am I missing? Detroit and who?
Oh, never mind.
L.A. Kings, Sacramento Kings.
Great job, Brock.
Yeah.
Crushing it.
Thanks.
So fine.
I don't think there's 2 Sox. Can't be the Hawks because it's Blackhawks, so that doesn't work. Who we missing, guys? Kings, Jets, Giants, Cardinals, Panthers. Who we missing?
I'm looking through teams right now.
Well, but that's kind of cheating, Gibbe.
Oh. What are you
Oh,
doing?
Rangers.
Rangers. Yeah.
Rangers.
How is that cheating? I was doing the same thing you were.
I know, but I didn't acknowledge it. Nobody knew. I was the kid in class who cheated and nobody knew. You were the kid who got caught.
Never got caught. Just so we're clear.
And if the boys are out there listening, never cheated, ever. Yeah, those are it. Kings, Jets, Giants, Cardinals, Panthers, and Rangers. That's a good one.
Bobby, a little rapid fire in the final
go,
5
Bobby.
minutes of this. How many 10-year-olds could you fight at once?
That's Bootsy's age. I mean, like if you were to detach humanity and just to fight them, I think I could easily beat upwards of 30. Easy. I mean, I had 20 of them in basketball every night. I could have absolutely annihilated them at any point. So I think 30 easy.
All right.
Yeah.
Hootie and the Blowfish or Blues Traveler? Hootie all day. Although
both really
I
good.
do love John Popper.
They're both great. I think that I saw Darius Rucker perform on the main deck of the Buckeye Cruise for Cancer.
Okay.
And which was a crazy.
It's a moment.
It's a nice moment. But he's got obviously all the Hootie songs, and he's got Wagon Wheel, and he's got his country songs. But then the other thing that he did, and I never knew that he did this, he annihilated Purple Rain. Annihilated it. And I was like, wow. I didn't know that that was like something he covers, but he smoked it.
So I've heard Purple Rain once when I've seen him, and I've seen him a lot. And it was amazing. But he does Mustang Sally.
Okay.
And
that's strong.
You want to bring the house down?
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah, it's on. When that song starts, yeah.
So do you know what? You know how they got him on the Buckeye Cruise?
How?
He wanted to play golf. He's a big golfer. He wanted to play golf with Urban. So he and Urban, they flew him in to the Bahamas. It was a day at port or whatever. Flew him into the Bahamas. He and Urban played the Ocean Club course on the other end of the island, which was very nice. We played Royal Blue, which was awesome. But it was down at the other end. He played Ocean Club course with Urban, and then did like a meet and greet with everybody, and then he put on a 45-minute concert. It was unreal. Great, really cool.
That's pretty awesome. If you could join any band in history, which would you join?
I feel like any band, any rock band in the late 60s, early 70s would be undefeated. I think that would be good. You know what? I'm going to amend that. I think any rock band in the mid 80s, because 60s and 70s, you got to deal with a lot of heavy stuff. You're coming out of Vietnam. You've got all sorts of things.
Some
In the
heavy
80s,
things.
like I think it's just like how could it be better than being in Motley Crue in 1986
By the way, still going strong.
and still going? Like
yeah.
I think that might be it. It might be mid 80s, like Motley Crue, Poison, Bon Jovi, one of those. Before, you imagine the look on their faces when they saw Kurt Cobain and Smells Like Teen Spirit, and they went, "Oh God, it's over." It's such a great run. It's such a great run. We were so carefree. Unskinny Bop. This guy's speaking about these heavy. We don't need this heavy stuff. Can't we just live? Girls, girls, girls. Nope.
That's why we can't have nice things.
Yeah.
If you could transform into any animal, what animal would you transform into?
It's easy. Very easy. Eagle. And I hate birds, but I feel like apex predator. Nobody's coming at you. Be fun to fly.
Which is funny.
What do they get to worry about?
How much you hate birds.
I hate them, but I have respect for the big ones.
Yeah.
And I think golden eagle, bald eagle's pretty. I mean, who's messing with you? Nothing. No threat. Apex predator.
If you had $1 million, what would be the dumbest thing you would buy?
I mean, it'd probably be an automobile. I mean, that would be the most. I mean, they depreciate immediately. In most instances, they depreciate immediately. They're in large part frivolous. So, yeah, probably that.
I don't know if I'd buy it. I'd take my crew on a excursion.
That'd be fun.
And that would get...
Where would you guys... What golf trip would you do?
That's a great question. I mean, if I can buy my way on to Augusta for the day.
You can't.
But maybe I can. Maybe
I don't think that's enough. Bobby needs more like $1 billion to buy your way onto Augusta. You need more like $1 billion. You could do the Pebble Beach one.
I was thinking that was going to be the other one.
The St. Andrews one would be a lot of fun. You have a soft spot for Spotted Cow. I believe that's the beer you enjoy.
I do.
You could do a Whistling Straight Erin Hills combo.
Yeah,
that would be a lot of fun.
Nice little track.
You could do a little Bandon Dunes, Oregon one you could do, or you could do the ones across the pond. You do the old course and all that.
Yeah, I like that too.
Those would be fun. That'd be a good job. All right, good job out of everybody
Yes.
on the mailbag. So much more to come. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of Cleveland Browns on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Did it rain again out there, Gibbe?
Yeah, and I guess there's more coming.
Lovely.
Great.
Lovely.
Awesome.
What a time to be alive, baby.
It is, because you're on assignment.
I am on assignment. Yep.
And well-deserved.
Yeah, it's
Enjoy
been a run.
the time.
We've done a good run. It's been a good run here.
Safe travels, because you're going from one end to the other end.
I would bet that it would be a short list of humans that would be in
1 minute.
would be able to see the Atlantic Ocean and then also fly into the state of Washington in that and then do Montana and Idaho and
in a 48-hour period.
There's a
Not
lot
even
going on.
48
No,
hours.
not even. No. 20, not even 24, quite honestly.
Enjoy every minute.
Thanks,
Corral
buddy.
Bootsy, keep him in line.
Yeah, he's got big plans,
30.
for this weekend. We are off tomorrow for the Juneteenth holiday. Friday, enjoy a special best of edition of the program. We are back Monday. Andrew Siciliano going to be hosting Cleveland Browns Daily. I will be talking to you guys very, very soon. The next level is coming up next. Thanks for listening. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.